Hello, I'm K.D. Hale, Vice President of the Association of African American Cultural Gardens, and I have the honor of welcoming you, our audience, to our Sankofa Web Series. Our goal is to educate regarding the African American experience through this series. We will be interviewing some of the most interesting, engaging leaders, business leaders, and great entrepreneurs in this great city. These change agents will tell us about their journey, who they are, who inspired them, what they do, and what does African American history and African American cultural gardens mean to them. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and like our Facebook page, the Association of African American Cultural Gardens. And go to our website, AAACG.org, for most updated information regarding events in our Sankofa series, which can also be viewed on demand. We will be breaking ground for the final phase of building the African American Garden this year, and we are excited. But in the meantime, please enjoy this episode of the Sankofa series brought to you by the Association of African American Cultural Gardens. Thank you.
Hi, I am Val B. King, granddaughter of legendary King of the Blues, B.B. King. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won.
Welcome to the Sankofa Educational Series. I'm your host, Mandy Burrell, and I'm here with Miss Margaret Bernstein, author and literacy advocate, and WKYC Community Relations Director. So could you just please tell me about yourself?
Sure. Well, Mandy, I am really thrilled to be here with you. I love being around young people, always love to help bring young people into media careers. I worked at the Plain Dealer for 25 years as a reporter. Now I'm the Community Relations Director at WKYC, which just means in addition to kind of advising the newsroom on different stories that they could do, I help plan the TV station's outreach to the community. And like you mentioned, literacy is definitely one of my biggest passions. I just want every child to be able to read at grade level, and more than that, to enjoy books, not to see reading as a chore, but to understand just how it expands their horizons and could lead to them having any career that they want. And so I just have used the power of my office at WKYC to promote literacy. And I also just do it in my spare time. I write books for kids. We'll talk more about that. I absolutely want to unlock the power of books for all the children in our community.
It seems like you're clearly very passionate. Did you have, what specifically made you so passionate about this topic?
As I was kind of winding down my career at the Plain Dealer, they were downsizing, taking down the number of employees that they had on the writing staff. I just started becoming more and more aware of how there was a law that was about to change the way that the literacy grading happened in Ohio. There was the third grade reading guarantee, which basically said that children in the third grade who weren't reading at grade level would have to repeat the grade. And Mandy, there's a stat that says that 75% of low-income children do not read at grade level. And so my thought was, I'll be darned if they hold our kids back because of this law. And so it just was the kind of the greatest moment for me to see that my newspaper career was winding down and I could go be a literacy advocate. So I spent that first year after I left the paper planting little free libraries in, near Cleveland schools. You're familiar with what those are?
Yes, I've been to one before.
Well, and I just love the way that kids get excited about it. And the very first time I wrote about one for the Plain Dealer, kids were bragging that they were going to, take the book home, read it that night, and bring it back the next day and get another one. I'm like, well, that's the kind of enthusiasm I need for reading. So I just was getting started on this whole new second career. And as I applied for my new job at Channel 3, I made that very clear to all of them that, if you love me, you got to love my literacy crusade. And so it's really been a great match. And I've done some very creative things just to see what can a TV station do to popularize reading, make kids want to be on TV, tapping into that desire people have to want to be on TV by using it, as I say, for good. So we've adopted a Cleveland school, and I put those kids on TV all the time for reading. So ways like this, I'm blending the things that mean the most to me.
So as well as being an inspiration to other people, who were some of your mentors?
I have to say that the most inspirational person I've ever written about in 30 years of covering Cleveland is Yvonne Pointer. And that's a local woman who is just an activist and an inspiration. She uplifts everybody she's around. This whole community loves her. She lost her daughter in 1984. Her daughter was murdered, and she just decided, someone needs to lead this community, and if that person is not on the horizon, it's going to be me. And that's absolutely the kind of spirit that I love. I love that spirit in people. She continued to reinvent herself and use all of her power to uplift her community. That absolutely is what inspires me to do the work that I do.
So why do you think the African American Cultural Garden is important?
Well, first, I am originally from Los Angeles, and so to come to Cleveland, it's one of the most beautiful pieces, one of the most beautiful parts of this city is to drive Martin Luther King Boulevard and see those gardens. It gives me a lot of pride to know, just in the time that I've lived here, that the Black community has rallied around the African American Cultural Gardens and turned them into something that is really a thing of beauty. So that inspires me a lot. Absolutely, I'd love to see a community using its power to support something that's so meaningful. It's a visual. During the spring, it's a flurry of color. It's something that attracts all of us, and so I just think that we need to respect the fact that it took the power of a community coming together to make it into what it is today.
That's amazing. Do you have any advice for the next generation in terms of reaching their goals?
Well, I think the thing is I want them to have goals, and I want them to understand that they can reach them. So Mandy, there are so many people of my generation that want to help young people, and that's the thing. It's just a matter of asking for it. So, back to books. I want our young people to have big dreams because of things that they might not have even conceived about if they hadn't read about them, and to know that they could do them too. And then I want them to reach out, hold your hand out, because this city is full of people who want to help a young person who's just taking a step in the right direction. So that's my biggest hope, is that we just get that fusion going between a generation that, without a doubt, lives to see these young people succeed.
Could you just tell us a little bit about your books?
Yeah, so, I've said reading 50 times over in this interview, but the thing is I absolutely want our children of color, to read at home. And so I asked myself, what can I do to make that happen? And so I've written books that are really meant for dads to read, because I want that dad to read to the child at home. And I happen to know that nothing makes me happier than when I hear stories from a dad that says, my kid asked for this story over and over again, but hey, I'm hitting the target when that happens, and that's exactly what I want to hear, even if the dad is a little annoyed to have to repeat the story over and over again. But each of my books is just a really sweet story of a dad, making promises to his child to be there. And each one tells a day of adventure between a dad and a child. And so this is kind of my little hidden assignment behind each of these books, is to make it so exciting for a child to have his or her dad read to them that they beg for that moment every night. And so that's why I wrote them, is just to give dad a special book, and you know, that depicts a dad of color. Every page has a picture of a father and a child of color. And actually in this book it's even translated into Spanish. And so I just want fathers from our community to know that this is a special book that's just for them, and create a special reading ritual at home. That's what I hope to do with these books.
That's amazing. And any father who's interested, where could they get these books?
Well, I sell them on my website, which is margaretbernstein.org. I have 3 titles. The first one, All in a Dad's Day. The second one is Donuts with Dad. And the third one is called The Father's Walk, which is actually an event in Cleveland. Have you ever heard of it?
I've participated.
Your dad, of course, participates. So I decided that I wanted to write a book around that one, because I wanted dads to have a souvenir of what is really a special day. I mean, did you enjoy it when your dad did it with you?
I did.
And so I published it last year and went to Richmond Heights School District to present it. And so I was in a room with like 100 families, and you know, there were all these kids that were reading it and thinking, my goodness, this is a book about today. And they were really impressed and happy. And it was the school district had bought it as a gift for each family that attended. And I was really proud in that moment. I just love to know that my books are hitting the target and helping dads create reading rituals with their kids.
Thank you so much for being here.
Mandy, you did a great job. Really thrilled to be here with you today and to talk about the African American Cultural Gardens. I'm so glad you're on the team.
Thank you for watching the Sankofa Educational Series presented by the African American Cultural Garden.
Hello, I'm Beverly Lloyd, board member and Juneteenth chair for the Association of African American Cultural Gardens. And we are bringing you Do You Know? We like to highlight leaders in the community, both in person and virtually. So let's take off right now with a wonderful individual and see if you do know. This individual is an American politician, former nonprofit leader, and the current mayor of Cleveland, Ohio. His advocacy goes from the streets to the boardroom. He was the co-chair of Teach for America, Ohio. He was board member of the Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority and Destination Cleveland. He co-founded Hack Cleveland in 2014 following the death of Tamir Rice, and most recently launched Cleveland Can't Wait, a nonprofit focused on the advancement of racial equity and economic opportunity in underserved neighborhoods across the city. If you guessed the Honorable Mayor Justin Bibb, then you do know.
Hello, my name is Carl Ewing. I am the president of the Association of African American Cultural Gardens. The African American Cultural Gardens creates an awareness for our community and establishes a gateway and a continuation of our legacy as a Black community for generations to come. It's a journey, and we want you to become part of this amazing journey to complete the gardens. We will break ground this year to finish the gardens, and we want you to sow a seed and watch us grow. Please make a tax-deductible gift to get us to the finish line. Go to AAACG.org or mail a check to P.O. Box 20237, Cleveland, Ohio, 44120. What a better testimony than to have a completed garden, American garden, African American garden in the city of Cleveland, for all of Cleveland to enjoy. Thank you.